All right, everybody, welcome back. This is episode 3 of the podcast. I'm here with my grandfather. This is Robert Haig. We're going to be talking a little bit about podcasting today. He's very interested. You can see we're in a different location. This is his office here up at his property. We're in hunting camp currently, but this is going to be his first introduction into podcasting. I think this is the first thing you ever recorded, yeah?
I did record something when I was in show business. I had a comedy routine that I recorded on YouTube, but being an older guy, I kind of forgot about it. So this is all new to me, Trav.
Well, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell people about yourself.
Oh, my name's Robert Haig. I'm the most senior person in the family right now. I'm 90 years old, so I come from a time before television and all this technology come in. During my life, I was a firefighter in Detroit. I rose to be a captain of Engine 27. Went to many fires, they're interesting stories too. I became president of the union, and when I retired, I kind of flared out into a lot of different things. I was in show business for a while with the Opera House in Sheboygan, and I became a writer. And Travis's father, Bobby, who was a police officer, became a writer. We both wrote books. And anybody can write a book, but selling a book is another way. There's things to learn. And I see podcasting as an avenue to do those things. So I asked my grandson to come up here, and he's into it, and he does it very well, and maybe I can learn something.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. So that's a lot of the reason that I do this show, and a lot of the things that make me think and be introspective and all the things that I like to be as a person. These conversations do that for me too, and it's interesting to hear your perspective about my podcast, because I know that I know that I have a good stage presence, if you will. I can speak eloquently. I can relay and articulate kind of complex topics and make them more simple, for sure. But it's interesting to see your perspective. You think from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, it's successful because you do it well. And that's what we've been talking about off camera a lot this week, is that the success comes from consistency. And a lot of people think that the production value matters, right? Like, you need all this gear. Like, you guys can't see everything on the table here, but there's so much gear that I brought. And you can get into podcasting with just a USB mic that plugs into your cheapy laptop and start recording. People do it with, like I was telling you, people take their cell phone, and if you hold this mic very close to your mouth, you know, the mic in these is in millions and millions of devices all around the world. So you can do it with very little equipment, but the consistency over time is really what sets you apart from everybody else.
Yeah, the consistency is the thing. I watched my other son, Joseph, wrap his boat in a plastic material for the season, and he said it took him 3 hours, but he says people that do it all the time do it in a half hour. So stepping into podcast land, and I use that term because in my life I've been in many lands: firefighter land, writing land. I was in the Army land, you name it, and each one is a learning process. And to see what Travis has done, to me, is amazing. It's a wonderful thing. But he said something that stuck with me, and it's true. You have to take that first step. You can't stand at the door and just look in the room. You got to walk in the room, and that's where I'm at now. I'm just stepping in the room.
It's funny. It's one of my favorite quotes. I actually bought this book. It's called I think it's called The Fox, the Boy, the Horse, and the Mole is the book. And there's one quote in it that's the book sorry to the author out there, the book isn't very good. It's just full of quotes and little isms and things. But I saw from a podcast clip, ironically enough, this guy says a quote from this book, and it goes something along. I'm going to get it wrong. I'll read it when I get back home and correct it in the next episode. But he says something along the lines of, the fox, the horse, and the boy are going through the woods, and the woods is very foggy, and the boy says to the horse, or the horse says to the boy, I can't see the path. And they're at the fork in the trail, and he says, well, can you see your next step? And he says, yes. And he says, well, then take it. And that's, just a microcosm of life. A lot of people get, I call it decision paralysis, where there's so many things, right? Like, you're trying to get into this. There's so many things to research about, and there's so many things to look at. There's 800 different brands of microphones and computers and all of this, programs to edit. But, logically, in most things in life, you can see exactly what the next step is. You just have to go ahead and take that step, or you'll get stuck and you'll never do it.
Yeah, standing at the edge of Grand Canyon, if you want to cross it, you have to climb down, cross the river, climb up the other side. And it's tough sometimes, but once you do it, you know the way. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to step into Grand Canyon, but I'm talking to someone who's done it before, and it's Travis. And his advice is something I'm going to depend on. You have to realize that oldsters like me, when you're in your 80s and 90s, this technology it's challenging. We're afraid to touch something in case we turn it off or lose something. But it's an exciting time, and in my mind, it brings the world together. I'm able to talk to a guy in China,
Yep.
or Scotland, or wherever, and it may be a good thing in settling the wars of the world. You don't know.
Yeah.
Who the hell wants to go to war? I know the guy in the Ukraine, that 18-year-old, doesn't want to kill the Russian who's 18 years old, but the generals want to kill each other. So you make your own choices, really. And my choice is to step into podcast land.
Yeah, it's I started my start into that kind of space. I was just streaming on Twitch, just playing the video games that I played, and I wasn't using very expensive equipment. If you go back and watch, there's some that are out there that are very old, like 2018. I have clips from those streaming days, and they're not good. The audio is very bad, but it's just like anything. If you go, most of those podcasts that started when podcasting was just getting its feet, if you go back and listen to maybe your favorite podcaster's first episode, it's probably going to sound grossly different than their first episode, or the newest episode to their first episode are going to sound way different. One that I listen to a lot is True Crime Garage, and if you go back and listen to their first video, it sounds like they're in a garage with just some janky mics, and they're the first ones to say that as well. And now they do, they've been interviewed on TV shows and things, and go to Crime Con. They got really, really big, but their consistency of posting every week, their quality came up from there. So it's huge to just be consistent and then make your strides in quality as you practice. It's just practice. To the things that are hard in the beginning, it's the same quote that I always say: it's not hard, it's new. It's really not hard. It's just most people don't want to figure it out and do the hard part. The hard part is it's just something new that they don't know yet.
It's one of the things you just mentioned that stuck in my mind. You use the term "start in the garage."
Yeah.
And I think Steve Jobs started in a garage, and look what he created. So having confidence in what you do is tough sometimes. I know in firefighting, the job was about when that bell rang, someone was in trouble, and when we responded, there was no one else to call. We handled it. You either did it or you didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else, like you're saying, Trav. you have to take that first step. If you do nothing, you're not going to be successful. You have to do something. And again, I'll repeat, us oldsters, it's a little tough coming in, but we're willing to take the challenge.
Yeah, I think another quote I saw that was saying, in a time like this is the easiest time in the history of the world to do nothing. Like, you can literally do nothing all day long. You can go to your job and make a little bit of money, or you don't have to go to a job. You can work as a DoorDasher or an Uber driver with your own car and not really do anything. You can go home, you can get your groceries delivered, you can, watch everything you need streamed right to your house. So you really don't have to do anything. You could never leave the house and be completely sufficient. So doing something and putting some effort in goes a real long way these days.
Yeah, when you talk about that, it seems like this technology can put you into a self-centered hole. And I say that because I went to Wayne State University for a year and a half before I was drafted into the Korean War. And I remember the college, how people were talking and walking together. Recently, I went with a lady friend of mine who's a graduate of Indiana University. It went a beautiful campus, fantastic. But when I walked across it with her, the students were walking, and they weren't talking to each other. Each one had a cell phone in their hand and were looking down. And it was just a strange thing. And I know those kids are a lot smarter than we were because there was a lot more knowledge to learn in the world. But as Travis says, you can go into a hole with it too. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, you can get same super powerful tool, same computer they had in the NASA in the 70s is now in your pocket. Like
that's so. Yeah, I've heard that.
But
before.
it can also be a super heavy cross to bear, because it's an addiction like anything else. You can very much get addicted to watching whatever you like, and like we were talking about with the algorithm, it only takes you watching one video of something to entirety, and it starts throwing you the same videos over and over, and you get down the wormhole. And that's what you were saying, to circle back to podcasting. You're saying, oh, I need a specific or a target audience or whatever. You really don't. I mean, you do eventually. Usually most people that find their niche, if you will, do well. But when you start and you are consistent, you build an audience over time. I mean, I have people that have been watching my Twitch channel since 2018. And that's a long time to be watching somebody for entertainment.
Wow, that certainly is.
Yeah, and just like you said, I had people for a while there. I had one of my really good friends that I had met through gaming and streaming. He lived in the UK. It was this person that I met that I would have never otherwise met, right? Or have one of my best friends through gaming lives in California, and there's one in Chicago and one in Arkansas. So I met people all over the country and all over the world doing it. So, like you said, it does have reach. It does have global reach, which is really cool.
Well, when you mention that, it makes me smile because your dad and his brother and several people were up hunting. So we sit around and BS a lot, and it's fun. And talking about global reach, I've got a picture of our castle, the Haig Castle in Scotland, and maybe someday Trav will put a picture of it. It's a scroungy castle. I mean, it's like a low rent area, but it's still a castle. And as I understand, the Scots used to have clans, and they'd fight all the time. So if you were losing the fight, you had to have a place to run in, slam the door, or pick up the drawbridge and fight. But all this technology, I believe, is bringing us together. And whatever your mission in life is or your job, you can reach out to others who do the same thing. my intent is, once I learn a little bit about how to do this, I want to focus on two things. It's firefighting, and that is a closed community. I want to talk to those who are in it, and also to writers. And believe me, when I say this, and you think about it, true stories are better than fiction. Things that happen in all our lives are unique sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an area. So this, what we're doing right now, is kind of clearing the air and bringing us together in a fashion. Really, I love it.
I think I said that in the episode I did about, I think that was by myself, where I was talking about work. Like, typically speaking, most disagreements are just miscommunication and different. You know, if it is a difference of opinions, it's just one that somebody's willing to die on that hill. So when you have this much technology and things, it's kind of crazy that people can't get on the same page, whether it's whatever it is, you know. So we have these a lot of people talk about that too. Now you got a platform to speak. Anybody can have a platform to speak. It's just a matter of doing it. That's what's great about this medium too. You can go say whatever you want. You can yell into the void. And people listen, people won't.
Well, that's cool, because we're all different, but the thing that makes us the same, once you're born, you're dropped in the river of life.
Yeah.
And life is like a river. You're going to go through rapids. You're going to hit rocks. There's going to be sharks chasing you. You're going to go through quiet areas that are beautiful. At 90 years old, I'm starting to hear the waterfall at the end of the river. So it's something else. But I'm so glad you're helping me, Travis, to get into this medium, because I'll be able to yell from the top of the mountain the things that I believe in, and everybody can do that, and that's good, particularly for people that are shy.
Yeah.
It's good to express yourself and tell what your feelings are.
It's your experience and your perspective on the world makes you who you are, whether you like to believe it or not. And it truly is. I mean, you know, experience is everything, and then how you perceive the world is your reality. So
yeah, I'm starting to smile, because I remember when the clicker come in. Remember, for the TV?
Yeah.
Well, my dad was born in 1909. He was afraid of the clicker, that new technology. Yeah, for me right now, podcasting is a new clicker, but I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
Because I've learned, as Travis says, or as you say, Travis, you got to take that step.
Yeah.
And you do it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's it's good. It's good to get out of your comfort zone. Try things you're not comfortable with. It puts you in a spot to learn and to train your brain to do new and difficult things.
And you know what? It's not money based, because my son Bobby, your dad, decided to help people by doing scam classes. He was a police officer for most of his life, and once he retired, he got into the fascinating world of scamming. And if you wanna learn things that are hilarious and also tragic, you would listen to someone like Bobby, who's been there, and to listen to his stories about his career. Some of them are absolutely hilarious, and some of them are just deeply tragic, and it's part of that river of life.
Yeah, small market too. Like, he's doing well. I was telling him he should do something along these, not like along these lines, but similar. Like, if he recorded his talks and posted them, that's a very, like we're talking, a very niche market. There's a very select group of people that's going to want that, but it gets you out there, it gets more eyes on your stuff. That's the end goal, right? Is you want more eyes on your things.
Yeah, Bobby opens his heart up. He was a good cop. He was in a city that was very political, and didn't put a I don't believe they put a high value on the expertise. He ran one of the best armor robbery units that the city ever had. But as soon as you do good, people want to come in and live in your sunshine and take credit for what you have done. Anyhow, when he got into writing, we have more fun, me and him, talking about writing and how to promote books and how to do things. But the neat thing about Bobby and his grandma really taught him well. He reaches out and wants to help people. He doesn't worry about the money
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he's got a lady from South Africa he's helping, and he's got a Japanese guy who is like the Japanese guy in the movie Hangover, who jumps out. He's talkative, he's real animated, but he wants to write books, and Bobby helps him. So helping each other's a great thing.
Yeah. No, it's and we were talking about it earlier. It's just people don't tend to tell you the things they're not doing. That's the crux of social media too. You get to see these people that are really doing well. They're on vacation, they're making a lot of money, but you can't see their gambling addiction or their, rocky relationship or whatever it is, that not around for their kids. You can't see the bad side. You only get to see what they want to show you. And a lot of times it's the same for anything. Like, people don't want to tell you the parts they're not doing. There's an embarrassment factor there. So when you are trying to help people, a lot of times you don't get the whole story. You can't really help somebody if you don't know all the information. A lot of times people neglect to tell you the work they're not doing because they're embarrassed, which is no big deal. But you can't help somebody to the fullest extent if you don't know all the information either.
Well, that was why I was so impressed with your first episode. You opened your heart and said things that you kept inside that were like everybody else. At a point in my life, after years of marriage, I goofed up and separated from my wife for a while. It was tragic because it was hard to fix. And when you do those things, it doesn't just hurt the two involved.
Yeah.
It involves family. And we all want to help each other in the long run. We're all, like you say, we're all in this river of life. If you're poor, you're traveling in a canoe. If you're rich, you're traveling in a Chris Craft. But we all face the same things, the same personal tragedies, accidental tragedies. And I think your listeners, and even you, Travis, know people that are unlucky. Bad things happen to them. And some people are just fall into the good things in life. And that's part of it. It's part of traveling that river. So
yeah, I mean, that's you say. I mean, I've been streaming on the internet since 2018. And when I was at my most consistent peak, I think I was doing 3 days a week for at least 2 hours. So it's a good chunk of time. And there's nothing to hide. You can imagine in that amount of time, there's really no stone unturned. It's really hard to, unless you're acting and playing a character, which is some people's thing. But I've always been myself. So there's, if you're trying to hide something over that amount of time, typically there's going to be a slip up at some point, and it's, it would be hard to hide somebody you're, playing a character that you're not with over that amount of time.
Yeah, I reflect on my 30 years with the fire department. It was another family. When I would go to work, I closed the door and I was in another world. I was with people that may not come home, like on 9/11.
Yeah.
323 guys never came home. But you get to know each other. You know the guys that think they're a big deal, but they're not a big deal. And when it comes down to the critical times in life, you know who to depend on and who's honest. Probably honesty, just what you said, Trav, is the key to everything. Be honest. You may be able to fool other people, you'll never fool yourself. So
yeah, and you're the only one that's gonna live with yourself too.
Exactly.
It's way harder to live with the anxiety of keeping up some story. It's hard conversations make life way easier.
Absolutely.
I try to teach my kids that, like having hard conversations make things so much easier. Then you don't have the anxiety of, oh, I gotta hide this from somebody, or I gotta do this to keep up the facade. It's way hard. Life's hard enough. It's way.
Well, honesty is the key, because if you're honest, you're not hiding a thing. The fun I'm having right now is we have a new member of the family, and his name is Philly. He's a young Labrador, and I've trained 7 of them. It's difficult. It's a hard thing to do, to train a dog, but the natural instinct for retrieving is there. And I'm tickled because you shot his first duck and helped him. Why did you talk about his first retrieve? Because I remember, I'll tell a story later about my first dog's retrieve.
Yeah, he was. He didn't know what was going on. He's only fetched a plastic toy, so when he got out there and it had real feathers and things, he wasn't sure what he was supposed to do. But he got the hang of it pretty quick. I was honestly impressed, because that was like our second or third time trying to make it happen. But finally got one down on the water, and he went out there and wasn't sure. He was trying to pick it up by the tip of the wing and all kinds of stuff, but he ended up picking it up, and then we took him to some deeper water and threw it out there, and he was able to go get it. So it was impressive. It was I think he's almost 2 now.
Yeah, he's a teenager right now.
Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. He's still pretty young.
Well, I think he's going to get better as it goes along. My first Labrador, and this is to anybody who's listening, name the dog yourself. I let the kids name my first dog, and they named him Meatball. So when I was in the marsh yelling for the dog, I'd be yelling Meatball, and I've had several hunters come up saying, "What the hell are you yelling Meatball for?" Anyhow, she was a great retriever, very instinctive. But the second dog I had, I named him after a general. His name was Rommel. I named him after the desert fox. Anyhow, Rommel's first retrieve was almost tragic. We were hunting down here on Monroe Lake. We got a duck down. Meatball was out of the blind after the duck. And Rommel, I didn't send him. He decided to jump in, so he went out to meet her. She picked the duck up and was returning. The duck was still alive with his head up, and he saw Rommel coming, and when Rommel got close, the duck knocked him in the head with about 3. Well, he went underwater to get out of the water. He barked at that duck the rest of the time in the blind, so it was not a good experience. But he became a decent retriever. So training dogs that's a whole field too. You can talk all day about that.
Sure. All right, well, we're kind of at our time limit that we set, so we'll call it there. If we hopefully we'll be able to get another one in this weekend. We'll pick a different topic and kind of riff off of that. But I really appreciate you doing it. I hope you got some insight. You'll get to watch this back and kind of see your own stage presence, if you will. So, but that's it on episode 3. Plus the pilot is 4. Once I get to 5, I think I'm going to throw all 5 at once on the podcast platforms. So right now it's exclusively on YouTube. Eventually it'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So I will announce it when it's going live there. But thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.